This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 87 of Beers in the Lot. In this one, we talked about Auston Matthews and his sneaky extra gears. We talked about Minnesota State and Denver in the NCAA championship game. And we talked a little bit about the playoffs and how it seems like everything kind of turns upside down stat-wise in the last couple months of the season. But first, Daniel has a burning question to ask us. Here he is now.
You guys ready to crack some beers?
Let's do it. Oh, it smells great.
Mine tastes great. What smells so good over there, Riggs?
So, Daniel was kind enough to schlep back a 4-pack of King Julius from Treehouse for me when he went a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Nice.
He finally turned it over to me before OFBG last night, and I decided I would be the Treehouse guy tonight. And King Julius smells delicious and tastes delicious. It has a great color to it.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And since Daniel brought this to me, what does Danny have tonight?
So I brought a beer from the first stop on my trip from Trogs. I'm drinking a Nugget Nectar. Also a good beer. And yeah, it's good stuff. What do you got there tonight, Aaron?
I've got, from Mountain State Brewing Company, a Cold Trail Blonde Ale.
Ooh.
American Blonde, generous doses of oats and wheats. Oh, and Bavarian Hallertau hops. I was thinking that it was like, this is a little bit, I could get some hops, but not like a lot of hops. But
I
it's
just added
good,
a few.
you know? Just a couple of hops.
Yeah.
Just a hop or two, you know? No, but it's good. It's like the right amount of hoppy for me. Like, it doesn't overpower me. I like it. Anyway,
Yeah.
What do you got, John?
I'm drinking a repeat Clyde May bourbon whiskey. I am on the road on the East Coast. So, undisclosed location I'm reporting to you from. So, I'm doing some market research for our buddies in the Caniac country. I'm gonna do a thought piece later. Don't worry. My plan is through my travels in the area to ask how many Stanley Cups the Hurricanes have and who was on that team, and we'll see. I'll report back.
See who
my
gets it
findings
right.
last-
Oh.
Let's see who's on that
Oh,
team.
man.
He's developing a fan test.
Yeah, dude. All right, I will say that. Like, even though I'm kind of taking a stab at him jokingly, like, there's a lot of fan bases I think that can't pass that.
Absolutely.
If you
Absolutely.
and it's like a little bit of a bit, I'll be honest, but like to some extent, I'm willing to bet if I go to PPG, at some point in the next month and go like, hey, when was the Pens' last Stanley Cup? Can you name 10 players on the roster? Give me 5 and see what people say.
You might be hard pressed.
I'm sure there's some like me who are psychopaths that would go like, oh, I can name the 91-92 team like that. You're a nut job like me. I get it. But like, I'm sure there's some that can't.
Well, the Canes one was what, 16 years ago? The Canes Cup was 16 years ago. And
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they had a different stall. I mean,
Yeah. I know. The hardest part is figuring out which Stahl brother was on that team.
Yeah, which stall did you have, sir? Yeah. The best is that some of them just go, Mark? Was it Mark?
Jared?
Yeah.
Jared.
I don't think he even got an NHL game, Jared.
Did
I
he?
don't think.
No.
He may have. He may have had like a.
I thought he was on an AHL club somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
He played AHL. I know he played for like San Antonio Rampage for a little bit. I don't know if he made it to the big show. Not like my boy Chris Bork. We're both Calder Cup champions.
Chris
So-
Borg.
Jared must have been messing around up in at the turf farm in Thunder Bay, Ontario, or wherever he's from. Thanks, Pierre. Isn't that where he's
Yeah,
from?
Thunder
They're all
Bay.
from Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay.
Turf farm.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Pierre.
The turf
Yeah.
farm.
I love it.
The turf farm.
Oh, the turf farm. I was like the dirt farm.
I swear that's what Pierre would always say. Oh, you must have learned that up on the turf farm at Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's stupid Pierre.
Fucking
That's
glowworm.
ridiculous.
Well, he's not on TV anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, because he's what is he? The assistant or
Yeah, he's
director
front
of
office
player
somewhere.
development. Player development for Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Yep.
There you go.
Good on him. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to know about like what might team somebody played for, Pierre probably knows it offhand. I mean, he knew everybody's like history.
Might be useful as a GM. I don't know.
Could be.
To know how many goals a kid scored it when he was 7, playing as a Mike Minor, whatever. Stupid.
This guy had a goal and an assist in the intermission when he was playing Timbits.
Mites on ice.
Yeah, mites on
Yeah.
ice between the periods. Yeah, he probably has the data.
Think about it. Pierre's already trying to track down like who's the family advisor for that kid in Philly who tried to fight Gritty. He's like, that's the type of glue guy we're gonna need in about 12 years.
Philly's already
12
trying to
years.
sign him.
Yeah, Philly's trying to sign him.
Put
Gritty's
him in the
trying to
box.
hire him. They're gonna start their own gang of street toughs, probably. You know? Gritty's like, hey kid, let's turn to a life of crime.
Gritty's probably like, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
What else happened? Somebody scored like 50 goals or something really fast. I don't know. Did that happen?
Poppy
Yeah,
did.
that's kind of a big deal. Right?
Yeah, he's
creeping up on 60, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, at 57 or something, I think is what he's at now in
And then-
54 games or something.
I don't know if anybody else watched the Hockey Night in Canada pregame this week, but Kelly Rudy, like the panel was talking about it or whatever, and Kelly Rudy was like, "I'm going to make the prediction right now. He scores 70 next year."
Ooh.
Like he outright said it on, Canadian national television, Hockey Night in Canada.
Man.
Yeah.
And I was like, at first I was shocked he said it, but then I was thinking about it. You know what? He probably will. He'll come close.
And Matthews too, like, not to take anything away from like Ovechkin or any of the other guys kind of in that race. Like Matthews can do a few things that those guys can't. Like Matthews has a elite level shot.
Yeah.
He does go to the net, but like especially on that Dallas goal in overtime the other night, a lot of people forget like that dude can really move. Like he's not going to burn you like McDavid, but he can really move. And it's like very deceptive how fast he moves up and down the ice. Kind of like Leon. Like Leon's a big body. Matthews, you kind of look at him, you're like, oh, he just looks like he's an in-shape hockey player. Kind of just shrug your shoulders and move on. But Matthews pretty damn good. He's
He
also
doesn't have, like,
American.
McDavid speed, but he's deceptively fast though. Yeah, and he can turn it on. He can find that gear and get moving really quick.
He's one of those long-legged skaters that they don't look like they're trying that hard, but they're actually really powerful on their skates, and so a lot of people, if they're not doing well or the team's not doing well, people are like, oh, he's lazy, he's not trying hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you'll watch highlights of him just blowing past people and not even working hard.
Right.
Like when McDavid skates, you could tell like it's a very like powerful motion. You can tell he's putting a lot of force in the ice. You can see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
With Matthews, it's different, right? Like
It's in a different way, kind of like Jack Eichel. I know what you mean, because they both kind of
Yeah.
skate a little more standing up almost. Like Eichel's a little different in his movements, but I know what you're talking about because you watch kind of Eichel go down the ice and you're like, that dude like doesn't look like he's doing anything. He's just like It's like in Eichel too. It's such a weird, almost unorthodox kind of skating motion. Matthews is a little more smooth, but
Jack looks like he's sitting in a recliner when he's
Yeah.
skating. Like,
yeah,
you're
like a lazy
we,
boy.
Like we always tell the kids, right? Like if to be better skaters, like get your butt down and like, get low. But he literally does it. Like he looks like he's sitting in a chair skating.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. It's kind of bonkers.
But Matthews, like comparing him to the obvious comparison is Ovechkin, right? Because he's sort of at the end and near the records and all that stuff. Completely different players.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Completely different players.
The only thing that I could kind of like, I wouldn't even call it a straight comparison. Like their shots are so elite. Like it's just those two guys have a shot at another level.
Their hands,
and for different reasons, obviously.
Their hands are so fast. Like they, so my Aussie friend that was living here, right?
Yeah.
So when he first started watching hockey and like he would come over and watch, and I would usually have Washington on. He said, unprompted, he said Ovechkin has the fastest hands of any athlete that he's ever seen. And he's a big cricket guy, baseball guy, Aussie rules football guy. Like, so I never thought of it that way. But then when you watch and you kind of try and find that, there's so many plays where, pucks come at him very quickly, whether it's passed or not. And he's just able to get his stick on it and get a good hard shot on the 4x6 and it goes in. So
I think that's something that we don't really think about, like as players. I mean, we all know how to stick handle. Well, we know it. We know how in our head. We can imagine stick handling in our head. Doesn't always happen in front of us, but we have an idea of what's going on with stick handling. So when we see people who are really good at it, then it doesn't really click to us. It's like how much their hands are really moving. I mean, I know if I'm watching Patrick Kane doing some like warm up stuff, I'm looking at his blade. I'm looking at like the bottom half of his stick and where the puck is, and not his actual hands. But if you ever stop and like watch what they're doing, like with their upper body, I mean, I could totally see that as somebody who's not necessarily like paying attention to the game or watching the game a lot. They're just watching what a player does for the first time or for whatever early on in their hockey watching. I could totally see being really impressed by just the movements that the actual person is making. That's an interesting way to think about it, though. You don't really think about it like that a lot.
And one thing that like separates all those elite guys too, like you look at like guys we play with or against or however, like, and you're kind of like, man, that dude's a really good stick handler. But at the end of the day, like you see some guys that are out there and it's like they're chopping onions, the sound like going up and down the ice. I mean, like that's the only analogy I can make towards it. Yeah, that's the only analogy I can make towards some of it. And like you're like, all right, they're moving the puck up the ice, whatever. It doesn't look great. It sounds horrible. But like, especially the NHL guys, like even kind of like we were talking about like Ryan Reeves and some of those characters, like when you watch those guys do certain motions, like they do, let's say hypothetically, like the same thing I do, but it's way more fluid in everything. And then you watch like kind of like the elite guys where we were talking about, like Matthews and Kane and those types of characters. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's a different level.
They're freaks.
Think about like a guy that only gets 4 to 6 minutes a night in Ryan Reeves. His stick handling is everything's relative, right? So compared to yours as an amateur that plays once or twice a week, right? And he's a hockey player that gets paid to play. He's on the ice every day for the most part, unless they have, off day or whatever, but he's on the ice every day. He has all of the coaching resources available, all the training facility resources available to him. And, whether they take full advantage of it or not, they're still in that environment. And so just naturally they're going to get better, over time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, we're, slobs coming out once or twice a week.
Right.
But if we're lucky, twice a week, and having to play a game where we might not see the puck that often in a period, right? So you're not getting your touches, you're not getting to handle the puck that often. So, it's a completely different world for those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen McDavid warm up?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
He's so fast.
Can't even follow it. Can't even follow the puck. You're like, holy crap.
I was watching like the
Insane.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned that. Like I was watching they do that ISO cam before, and just watching him kind of whiz around in warm up, like cutting on his edges, digging into the crossers a little bit, and like I kind of like was thinking in my head like, I know for a fact I do nothing in warm up. Like I don't even think I make a full figure eight around our own side. Like I go to the center ice to kind of stretch, shoot the shit. I may go shoot on the other goalie just to be an asshole. That's like about it. Like, and I'm like, I was sitting there like I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I was just like making the joke. I'm like, watching him warm up, it's making me tired. Just thinking, like, what are you doing, Connor? And then the game starts, and he's like different gear, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I was kind of like thinking about that more and more. I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense. Jeez.
Guys always give me shit when I go out to warm ups 15 minutes early. That's when I touch the puck the most.
Yeah, people are they're gonna chirp you and they're gonna rib you about that. But if the ice is available, take advantage.
Take it. That's what I do.
Right? Because you don't have ice at home, so you know.
Green biscuit only goes so far.
Yeah, the green biscuit.
I like going out there and I just shoot as hard as I can, and then the first shot has to hit the glass, and then I know I'm gonna, and then I dial it down a little bit, and then I start shooting low.
Make a loud noise.
Yeah,
right?
I just gotta, and then look around, make sure everybody heard that, and like, right.
No, like I have like I've fallen into like a set warm-up routine. I think like I'll come out, I go to the bench, drop my other stick off, and then I'll try and do I forget what we used to call it in practice, but like you skate the zone, so you just do like crossovers, like a big circle through the zone, and it just kind of gets the heart going. And then I just try and make sure I can feel my edges, and then I go like lean on the bench. I hardly ever shoot on our goalie for warm-up.
Oh. No,
like, hardly ever shoot on our goalie for warm up. Like
I made that mistake.
Yeah,
twice.
It just reduces everyone's confidence, I think.
Yeah, and when I do shoot on the goalie, I just shoot right at his pad. Oh, good save, bud.
They move out of the way half the time.
We've talked to Goody. That's what you do in warm up. Yeah. You should shoot it right.
Got to give him confidence.
Yeah, and I used to try and go like
far down.
No, I'd line up and then I'd
silly.
I try and hit their right leg pad, their left leg pad, and then go to each glove, right? To try and help them. I would hope, but like these days, I can't be bothered.
See, I was kind of fortunate, I guess, the last 2 seasons because I've actually played with Goody, so I kind of know what he does in warm up, and I know like when I'm taking shots, like. He'll like I actually kind of go like glove, like almost hold it out intentionally. So I like shoot the puck kind of there. Like I kind of more just I understand like, and I've known this for years, but like it's more about him in the warm up, just like getting him his self kind of like more in the zone, and then midway through the game I tell him he sucks and stuff. So like this is just funny. We were like joking about that again last night because we played Riggs's team. We got consoled. They
consolation game.
They just have mounds of unsolved questions with no answers.
Okay.
You can't say you didn't get your cookies. No one on your team got a cookie.
Nobody got cookies.
No one got cookies. Not even crumbs.
John's team was just hoarding all the consolation for
That's
themselves.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like those people in the winter storms. We just went to the grocery store and took all the milk, eggs, and TP. We just took it all.
That's exactly
There's
what
nothing
it was.
left.
Yeah.
There's nothing left for you.
That's that. Since I came back, that's the first game I didn't have a point. I was kind of disappointed. Oh,
That
well.
sucks.
Yeah.
You were disappointed.
Yeah. I was disappointed.
Disappointed.
This guy.
You're unappointed.
I was unappointed.
He is a dad. He can make the joke, I guess. Let it slide this time.
But it was the consolation for you guys. But then Daniel's team was in the championship game.
Oh.
I was a sub because there was like 5 guys out for the championship
nobody
game.
wanted to show up.
Nobody wanted to show up, so it was a good game though. We had fun. I had fun skating anyway. Would have been nice if we'd won, but whatever.
Hey, we only lost by 1.
Yeah, we only lost by 1.
Yeah, that's good.
John's about to complain about an empty net, even though it was the
Disgusting
game-winning
display.
goal.
Just wanna Well, the worst is someone's like, well, if he didn't score it, it would have been tied. I'm like, actually, that's not 100% true because
Yeah, it is.
you scored. No, because they scored the empty net. Then you guys went down and scored on the ensuing faceoff. So technically, if he just dumped it in the corner like a respectable human,
The face-off doesn't happen.
the faceoff doesn't happen,
Yeah.
and therefore you guys still have to break it out of your zone.
This is why time travel movies don't work.
Yeah,
Exactly. The butterfly effect.
Because
Yeah.
you're assuming that it's linear. It's not.
yeah, exactly. You guys are assuming you still
you're
score
kind
that
of
goal.
making this same assumption though, you know? Don't you see how this is? Instead of scoring the goal and going up by 1 with 30 seconds left or with 48 seconds left, then you just
Well, they would've
give
went
us
up
the
by 2.
puck
It went up by
with
2.
48 seconds left. Yeah, to go up by 2, right. To go up by 2 with 48 seconds left.
Yeah,
Instead, you would have just given us the puck with 48 seconds left, only up 1. I don't know. Still up 6 skaters to 5. It seems like it's still kind of
I would take my
a
chances.
bad idea to
I would
just
take-
not score a goal when you can.
I would take my chances making an OFBG team skate the 200 feet rather than
Correct.
giving up the 100 by having a face-off at center ice.
The problem about that, yes, it is an OFBG team that has to go up and score. The problem is that they're playing an OFBG team. So
Yeah, true.
Whoa. I don't think we can touch that subject, but
Aaron,
yeah.
I appreciate the fact you're bringing a new wrinkle to the argument, but I'm sorry, my esteemed partner in law, the law firm of Rigsby and Walker, we don't need to present anything else to the court. Our case rests.
Yeah,
We're fine.
Yeah.
rest.
my case
We
rests
rest.
with it. The empty netter was was the game-winning goal.
Give it
So there we go.
give it to the jury.
You,
Yeah,
you
give
guys,
it to the jury to
your
decide.
hypothetical is really great. I like this if it's in the corner, it'd be harder to score. Yeah. What actually happened though is that the game-winning goal was scored on an empty net. So we have that,
Which is disgusting.
reality.
Yeah, that's
Reality is that
should
it was an
be-
important goal.
There's
should
2
be-
gross things that occurred on that. 1, an empty net was scored. 2, they let it become the game-winning goal. That's gross in and of itself.
I go back to my point about scoring on an OFPG team.
Not my beer league. It's not what I sign up for every couple of months.
Yes, it is. It's
Say that right
exactly
now.
what you sign up for.
No, I don't want to play with cats like that. Like I've been saying this, Riggs and I have been saying this for years. There's a lot of riffraff coming in the league. It's disgusting. You gotta do something about it.
That riffraff who scored that empty net goal listens to the podcast. You probably should bite your tongue.
He's fine.
He's cool.
not riffraff.
He's
He's
fine.
awesome.
He's fine.
He's a cool guy.
He
He
understands.
knows I'm just teasing him.
He understands what's happening.
He knows it's a bit, but I'm serious about it. But Riggs, our buddies at Minnesota State lost, unfortunately.
Uh,
I know it screwed me on the bracket.
Yeah.
I had them beating Denver in the final, and I only got 2 games wrong in the whole thing,
Well,
in the whole
damn.
tournament. Yeah.
and we were kind of like,
Did you say one was like
spitballing too,
your one that was like, oh, I'm going to pick an upset?
Yeah, so I took Michigan Tech in the regional final. I forget I think they played Minnesota, and Minnesota did Minnesota things, which, whatever. Brock Faber decided to show up and they won. So that kind of like, that messed me up, but I had and I got one of the first round games wrong. I forget which one. But after after that and after Michigan Tech, I had everything right. So all the big points rounds, like, I was good to go. So when Minnesota State went up 1-0 and they were dominating the game until like the last, I think what I heard on the broadcast, and I didn't look up I was following the live box, but I didn't look up the shot attempts and the shots for the third period, because I was just like, whatever, fuck this shit. So Minnesota State basically only allowed Denver like 6 or 7 shots through 2 periods. Then Denver decided to show up with their like 7 or 8 NHL draft picks. And Minnesota State did not have a shot in the last 16 minutes of the game. And Denver rattled off, 3 goals or whatever it was. It didn't matter. They only needed the 2, but it was, that was tough to watch. So
the thing that kind of sucks about that too, like you and I were talking about, like a lot of people are going to blame that, unfortunately, on the the goaltending and whatnot. It's like, well, if you kind of look, they were, for some odd reason, when that light switch went on with Denver, they not only started maintaining the puck, but like the quality of shots they started to get, they were in the right spots where it doesn't matter who you have in net, unfortunately. Like you're getting the right amount of chaos and everything else. Like it's
watching the game, and I don't want to say this the way I'm gonna say it, but because it's gonna sound bad, but watching the game, so Denver scores to tie it up, and then they quickly score to go up after that. It felt like, watching the game, it felt like Minnesota State was like panicking a little bit and getting away from what they were doing well, which was not allowing free access through the neutral zone. Like for the first 2 periods, Denver could get out, but they couldn't get in. Minnesota State was denying them the ability to cross the offensive blue line under control. They could not control the puck on those entries. And so every time they would get it out, Minnesota State was right back in their end. So they were out attempting them, 30 couple to not even 20 at one point. They were out shooting them, 20 couple to less than 10 at a point. And, if you're playing that way and you're getting your chances, some more pucks are going to go in at some point. So Denver gets the goal to tie it up, and then everything changed. Like, and then they score to go up 2-1, and it just looked like Minnesota State got away from what they were doing well, which was just not letting Denver, the time and space to skate through the neutral zone and get controlled entries and control the puck in the offensive zone. So, and then it just kind of all went to shit.
Anything to add, John?
No, Eric got it all. Like, yeah, Eric summed it up.
Awkward pause.
Pretty damn well. So.
But it stinks because we have a connection with Minnesota State with Mark Breiter, who was he's the equipment guy on the women's side, and he helps out on the men's side frequently, and especially when they get to this time of year. So kind of stinks, and also I picked them, so I was trying to get some free was trying to get some free shirts.
Well, like I noticed this especially about like, and I don't know why. Like it's so. You ever kind of notice that? Like it's really indicative of like NCAA hockey, yes, in big moments, but also too sometimes like playoff hockey, where like Game 7, whatever the hell it is, it almost seems like the team controlling the play for the majority of the time. There's a moment or a light switch that gets turned, and then for no other reason, like it looks, and granted, we're not at ice level, so we can't 100% say, but like it always looks like you guys were doing this so well early, and it looks like you're not doing any of it at this point.
Yeah.
And it makes you like want to tear your hair out.
I didn't want to say it the way that I said it because of what you just said. Because I'm sitting here in my basement watching it on my big screen TV. You know, I've got some chips and salsa or whatever, and like I'm comfortable. And these guys are living through it. You know, they're having right, like they're living through the moment, and like my emotional attachment is so far removed from what theirs is. Like they've been working together for years, in some cases, 4 or 5 years now. You know, trying to get to this point, and you know, like what my feeling is about it means nothing. Like,
Exactly. I know.
Like, so
it's just tough.
I didn't want to say it that way, but you know. Yeah.
Well, no, you're right though, John. Like, I mean, it's kind of like at some point you realize, hey, we can win this, and something happens. The whole team starts to believe it, and they start to play like it, and then the other team might have been dominating, and then all of a sudden, hey, it's whoever believes the most that when it really comes down to it, at some point, if you believe the most, you can manifest it.
This is also the phenomena of the single game elimination, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why that tournament is so exciting is it's all single game elimination through every round. Even in some of the conference championships have, you know, best of 3 in some of their rounds. So, you know, you can kind of, you know, make the analogy to NHL playoffs at that point where, you know, game 1 will come back in game 2, and then game 3 is it, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
In these single game elimination tournaments, like it's all on the line every game. Like,
it's best of 3 periods. Yeah.
Right. Every game, every game you play for 2 weeks is just, you know, we got to win today. And so when those things start to happen, especially in that final game, you know, they tie it up. Okay, you know, we're still in good shape here, guys. You know, I would think that's the message from the coaching staff. Like, you guys are playing well. You know, they caught a break here or whatever. Like, it's tied up. Let's keep doing what we're doing. We'll get it back. You know, that's probably what's happening, right? And, you know, then they go up, and you're probably saying the same things as a coaching staff and maybe even some of the player leadership on the bench, but it doesn't matter because it's a single game elimination. It's the final. Like you've got to where you want to be, and now you were up and now you're down, and you got to figure out how to get it back. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah. I think a few years ago, especially like Miami of Ohio, and I want to say they were playing BC. Miami of Ohio, when it was I honestly forget the year, but I know Miami of Ohio was like dominating that game. They were up like 2 or 3 goals, like 6 minutes left. And then BC started pouring pucks in out of nowhere. And then they ended up winning overtime. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like, what did I just like? And you're just sitting there, kind of like Rick said, like, I'm living a very comfortable Saturday afternoon here, just watching, you know, hockey. Like, I don't, you know, whatever. Like, especially this weekend, I made the thing on like our Discord. I was like, man, this is going to be an awesome weekend for sports. We got the Masters, baseball opening day. The Pirates are already in last place. This is a perfect start to spring. This is great. And, you know, so I like, especially seeing that, I was kind of like, man, that's a bummer. But it's a sports thing. It absolutely is. But it, like, you see it sometimes in like football here and there, baseball sometimes. But I feel like, and probably because we follow it a lot closely, a lot more close. Like I feel like every time in NCAA hockey, or like once or twice a year with the Stanley Cup playoffs, like it's just like this weird light switch every time.
There's probably there probably are numbers to support it, but like or not. Hopefully it disproves it. But I always feel like in the Stanley Cup playoffs, everything's opposite. So the teams that rode a power play, a plus 30% power play in the regular season, they get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and all of a sudden they can't score. They can't score on the power play anymore, right? And
unless you're Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, right. But like,
there's probably the ones that are just absolutely dominant, and you know from the beginning,
it always feels like everything just turns upside down, and I know it's not the case. Like that's not actually happening. That's not reality. It's just watching it, and it just feels that way sometimes. So it's weird.
I feel like that for a Capitals fan.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, like, right. So it's, with that team, like the last 2 weeks with that team has been really weird. Like they all of a sudden they're beating other playoff bound teams where they were struggling a little bit before. Some of it is they got healthy. Like Mantha finally is playing. Oshie is finally healthy and contributing on the power play. So like their power play supposedly is, in the top 5 since, whatever it was, beginning of February or something like that. I forget what they said on the TV, but all of a sudden things are starting to click. The goaltending is still a disaster. So, whatever, but it's really interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say it's kind of been the opposite with the Pens. The Pens are dropping games all over the place.
Yeah.
They are no longer clicking.
The Rangers back to back like 4 times, so of course.
Well, the Avs back to back.
That play the Caps too.
That New York team is a good team.
Oh yeah.
Good team. And the Rangers, unfortunately, this year, like I remember like in the mid 2000s, the Penguins could not beat the Devils for the life of them. They were smoking other teams. And then they play the Devils and they lose like 4-0. And you're like, what the hell is going on? It made no sense. So then I remember like the one year, it was actually the Halak Habs year, because
2010,
it was 2010 because I was super jacked after the first round, because I'm like, oh my God, the Caps are out. Freaking Devils got knocked out too. We got a clear run to the freaking cup again. This is great.
Right.
They ended up playing the freaking Habs. And that first game, they got all up in Halak's grill too. They won like 4 or 5-1 that first game. And then the rest of the series, it was almost like a boxing match, just like back and forth until game 7. And it was like that big buildup because it was the closing of Civic Arena. I'll never call it Mellon Arena. It was Civic. It's a Civic Arena, and like it was game 7, and you're like, dude, this is like almost lining up exactly how the Caps had it. Like, this is not good.
Then we had like 78 shots.
Same thing. It was 78 freaking shots.
Yep.
And like, it didn't matter what you did that night. It hit Halak in the freaking chest. Yep. Every single shot. I'll never forget it. I remember like after the game, like I was just like, meh. Like I was just like, meh. You can't do anything. You just can't.
Right. No. Yeah. About midway through the third, you're like, well.
And I feel too, like as a Pens fan, Danny probably can back me up. Like jokingly, how like we were talking about, the power play just dries up. I feel like the Pens never score a power play goal in the playoffs.
Oh my God.
Like
no.
they score more shorthanded goals, I feel, in the playoffs. Oh yeah. Somehow, way. I bet the data is like totally skewed. They're like, yeah, Pens haven't scored a shorthanded goal since Talbot in 2009 in Game 7. Like, and I'm like, they've been in the cup like 14 times since then. And I'm still thinking that, but like, I just feel they never score a power play goal in the playoffs.
But this is why 5v5 is so important in the playoffs.
Yeah,
absolutely. This is why, if you do look at the numbers, and there is hard data behind this, the teams that dominate 5v5 during the regular season absolutely average out to have success in Stanley Cup playoffs.
power play and special teams get you a long way. Like I think that was Vegas's problem last year against Montreal. The 5-5, it was almost even. But the special teams play, I mean, yeah, they had Carey Price, so different story. But if they were able to pop in a power play goal here or there, that adds up pretty damn quick. Also, Flower gave one away. But like, you know, those are mistakes, unfortunately, at 5v5 or bad special team play. So
yeah, we know all about the bad special team play. We call it a power kill in our league, right?
That's right. Power kills.
Big power kill.
I think we should have the option to decline the penalty.
We really should.
Like they do in football, you know, we'll just decline the penalty. It's fine.
No.
You know?
Like, it was a penalty. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just put the face off in your zone. Yeah.
That's
Put one of our guys in the box of our choosing. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have the power kill now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for episode Sydney Cross 87. Another good one in the books. For those of you that made it this far, thank you so much for your listen. We really appreciate your support. Be sure to keep telling your friends and your teammates about our podcast. Don't forget to keep doing your ratings and reviews and likes and stuff on your podcast platforms. That helps us a lot too. Quick shout out to the members of the Sunday Night League that the four of us play in, Old Fat Bald Guys Hockey League. Another successful season came to a close on Sunday. We're looking forward to next one already. And we're also looking forward to seeing you in Discord. So come on, join us. beersintheLot.com/Discord. Jump in and join the conversation. OFPG members and Patreons get special access. Just saying. All right, that's enough. We'll be back next week with another episode. See you then.